What's going on, you guys? Slim back here with a new video today. And today, you guys, I had to bring back one of my old series, why this deck won set events, and of course, how could I ignore the biggest elephant in the room? We're literally only 2 months into the new year, and we've already just had some crazy things happen, but Fire King just won YCS Birmingham, over 2,000 players, absolutely insane. Dinka Boy is literally just not human. He is not human at this game. I am convinced. He is a madman, a mad scientist, whatever you want to call it. But he just took down the entire YCS with Fire King. And if you look at this deck, it literally looks like he took 3 structure decks, added in a few extra cards, and called it a day. And it's pretty crazy. I want to go over it today. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Be sure to smash that like button. Definitely check out all the descriptions down below, especially the sponsored Dueling card for 5% off, and also my TCG player link. Go ahead and get into this. So first and foremost, this is just insane to think that in 2025 we are literally seeing pure Fire King basically win a YCS in a field of Ryzeal and Malice. The fact that, you know, he did make a really good meta call. I think a lot of people forgot what these cards do. We have not seen pure Fire King in ages. Like, we've seen all the different variations that had happened over the time, where we had Snake Eyes, we had Snake Eye Fire King, then it was basically just Snake Eyes, and Fire King cards kind of fell by the wayside and no one really picked them up. You would see them every once in a while, maybe at some random events, but it was never anything like to this caliber. And it's crazy to think that now this is a deck that, for the most part, now I know people are going to say, is this deck budget? Yes and no. If you look at it, it's like 3 Fire King structure decks. You throw in the most expensive card, I want to say, is the Fuas in the main deck, and then of course in the side you've got the Perulias and the Impulses. That's probably where the main total comes from. If you look at like YGO Pro Deck or any of those places, they show the breakdown because people are already memeing it on Facebook, like talking about how it's over like a $700 deck. Obviously that's because of the hand trap variations. Like, you can make substitutions as well if you're playing on a budget, so it's pretty crazy. But I do want to get into this, talk about why it won the event. I always break down the deck, and yeah, we'll get into it. So for the hand traps, we got triple Ash Blossom. We also got 3 Bystials, 2 copies of Druid Worm with the 1 Magnamut, the 3 Valor, 2 Nib, 3 Fuas, and 3 Impermanents. So pretty standard on the hand traps. These are all just really good. Obviously, Ash is important because it's fire. Valor and Imperm to stop the duo drive and just other main effects you need to get off. Fua is self-explanatory, it's just good against the meta. Nibiru is there, you know, just to check people as well, especially when they play into it. A lot of lines with Ryzeal, if they have to, they play right into Nibiru, so that gives you a just big advantage. And then the Bystials were also there, of course, for dealing with the Fiendsmith cards in the Fiendsmith Ryzeal. If you watch the live deck profile, which I did link down below in the description, you'll see that he did talk about how he wishes he actually main decked the Impulses over the Bystials, because he did play against a lot of Malice, and obviously his side deck is heavily built for the Malice matchup, but having the Impulse in the main would have been really solid too, because he played against a lot of Malice in Swiss, so pretty crazy. Then on to the main engine, which is the Fire King engine. You got the 1 copy of Arvada, you got the 3 copies of Ulcanex, you've got the OG Garunix, this card's crazy, 3 copies of Kirin, you got the 3 copies of the Ponix, and of course you've got the 3 copies of the main one, Garunix, along with 1 Island, 2 copies of Sanctuary, and then he's also playing 2 Skyburn. This card is really cool, basically just being able to destroy cards. He was talking about in the profile how you literally just bait things out, chain Skyburn, and then you're just in a very advantageous position because you also have your Garunix in play, and that's really like the main thing. Once you get this card in rotation, the grind game is ultimately yours. You have a better grind game than most of the other decks, so that's one of the main reasons why this deck did so well. And then just to round out the rest of the deck, just for consistency, he is playing 3 Pot of Extravagance and the 1 Pot of Prosperity. The reason for this is because since it is pure Fire King, you don't care as much for the extra deck. The extra deck is not as important, but you do play 3 copies of the most important cards that do come up when you're playing this deck. It's a very clean 40 cards. It's extremely simple. Like, you look at it on paper, it's very, very simple. And again, this is something a lot of budget players can try out. Now, I know, again, with Fua, there is a reprint coming. It's not going to be for a little while, but you do have other options. You always can play other hand traps if you aren't able to afford Fuas, and you can make changes, to fit your budget. So very, very cool. That is the main deck. Onto the side deck. Now, like I said, the side deck is heavily here to just slap Malice around. As you saw in the finals, he Lancia'd, he struck, he still had Chaos Hunters. It was crazy, but we got the 3 Lancia and the 3 Chaos Hunter. This literally just says no to Malice. 3 Perulia, this is for Ryziel, and then you get the 1 called by for going first, 3 impulses. This covers several matchups. Obviously, it's not great against like pure Ryziel. It does have some places you can check Fiendsmith Ryziel, so this is still decent. And of course, it's just insane against Malice. And then of course, and also it's good against the Mitsurugi build as well. Like, don't forget that this card is crazy against the Mitsurugi build. And then 2 copies of Judgments. His idea was going first. He wanted to side out the Fuas and side in 3 good going first cards, so he has the 2 Judgment along with the 1 called by the grave. And then of course the rest of this extra deck, like I said, just absolutely is there to just destroy Malice. Extra deck, the ones that are playing 3 of are the most important. So of course you got 3 copies of the main Garunix, the Eternity Hieing of the Fire Kings. This is basically a Raigeki on your opponent's turn, so literally you have 3 of the Raigeki, and he's also playing 3 copies of the Promethean Princess. These 2 are the most important, so you have to max out on them because of extra. You got 2 Typhons just to have some extra coverage. 1 is not enough, so having an extra 1 does come up. He is playing the Charmers. He's playing 1 copy of Dark along with 2 Hida. 2 Hida because it does come up more, this Charmer, than any others, of course, because it's fire. And you've also got the Lina as well. He was talking about how if you do get Nibiru, you get the token, you can actually just summon a Bestial. You can link literally the Nibiru token and the Bestial into this, and then you can play. So that's pretty crazy. Getting in the Promethean Princess line is nuts. He's got the Anima as well as the SP and the Almirage. These are all to get your play started when going first. So very, very solid in the extra deck. Very simple. Again, now why did this deck win? This deck won because no one knew what the hell was going on. I gotta be honest. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think a lot of people, including myself, would probably forget what a lot of these Fire King cards do. I know it's crazy to think because it wasn't too long ago that this was one of the most relevant engines in the game. But honestly, we've been so focused on Malice and Ryziel that it makes sense to actually forget about these interactions. I also think this deck won because the grind game is absolutely insane. Again, having this in rotation is nuts. These cards coming back just makes things crazy. Being able to chain block with Kirin is nuts, and it's just very well engineered into the format. Now, I know you're saying, well, there could be Dwellers everywhere. Well, apparently it didn't matter. Apparently that was not a thing, or they did not know to make Dweller against him or whatnot, but he also had things in the side deck to combat that. I think this was very well built, of course. Dinka Boy is a crazy deck builder, easily one of the best around, and he just always comes out with decks that always work. Like everyone remembers, he won with Prank Kids. He's done it now with Fire King. And, we always expect him to do crazy things. He was one of the main innovators of the Musketeer Fiendsmith deck. There's been a lot of decks that he has piloted that a lot of players have tried and found a lot of success with. So he's definitely, definitely one of the main people to go to for decks like this. I think this deck also won because, again, not only is it well built main deck wise for game 1, game 2 and game 3, your side deck really does carry you. I think that's one of the biggest things. His side deck was well built to combat the meta that you would expect at a YCS level. So it's very simple to see that, if you have a good game 1, even if you don't have a good game 1, game 2 and game 3, you have a well planned out side deck plan that can actually get you there for games 2 and game 3 if that even happens, or it can be a swift 2-0. I think it was really well built, and of course by an extremely good player and pilot, and I think this is something that we are going to see. Now, is this a fluke? I don't think so. I think that this is something where, again, a good pilot can pilot anything, and they can find a way to build it for the format, and it can find success. Will we see more players picking this up? I think so, mainly because it is a budget option. If you do make some, some changes, or maybe you have Fuas. Like, honestly, a lot of people were picking up Fuas. They did drop a little bit. I don't know if they've gone back up since his win, but having the Fuas, you can always make changes in the side deck. As far as impulses and the Perulias go, those are where the money is. But other than that, I think players will find other ways to find a budget version of this, and I think it's really cool to see something like this winning already in 2025. But those are my thoughts. I'm really excited, to see what happens at the next YCS, because I'm really wondering if at regionals and stuff coming up, people are going to pick up this deck and give it a try. I think it's really cool. I think that it gives you another option to explore something. I think that there's something here that can definitely be explored more, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to smash that like button if you did. Please leave your comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply to them. Let me know what you think of Fire King winning YCS Birmingham, and do you think we'll see some other crazy decks from Dinka Boy in the future winning more YCSs, or even just crazier decks? But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.